Hello, it's Honey again, and this time I want to do an update from February 2019, where I went to Daventry Gender Clinic for my second assessment, as I was mentioning in my last video that I was going to be doing that. Big news, everybody, apparently I'm transgender. Who knew? So basically what's happened there is now I've had my second assessment with the consultant there, diagnosis of gender dysphoria, I suppose, and the gender clinic will take me on and treat me based on that diagnosis of gender dysphoria. So that basically means that their treatments and things will be made available to me, such as laser hair removal, consultations, help with paperwork if that's what you need. Basically once you get that diagnosis, it is the key to getting access to the resources and funds that you need from the gender clinic. In my case, I'd done a lot of it myself already, so really out of them I'm just looking for help with my GRC. I'm also, they also want to take over my hormones and stuff, as I've already said. On that front, he did say I could continue to use Helen Webberley. He was quite happy with Helen Webberley's service, and he was happy for her to continue to prescribe for me. So, well, not her husband now, but same difference, Dr. Webberley, for them to be able to continue to prescribe my hormones. It was a month ago now, because I'm a bit late filming this, and I still haven't heard anything back, and he said he was going to write all of the 2-hour conversation up that we had and get back to me, and that it'll come in the post and blah blah blah. And yeah, I haven't heard a thing, which, you know, bearing in mind it took the gender clinic 2 years to actually give me my first appointment nearly. I suppose a month is nothing, but at the same time I was kind of hoping to have had something back in terms of like a report and whether or not he's going to increase my my hormones. If we did, it'd just be an increase from my current 100 it'd still be in patch form, which there's plenty of videos about, and I'd just increase from basically 2 patches coming out at 150 to 2 patches coming out at 175. I briefly been on 200 once before, and that put me over the top. So, and 150, he agrees with me, is constantly a bit low. My blood work keeps coming back, and I'm always sort of, the range is supposed to be between 395 and 750, and I'm always like 450, 495, 512 these days. My blood work's really plateaued. He'd said he'd like to get me up a bit more mid-range, so well into the 500s, you know, touching maybe low 600s sort of thing, which all sounds good to me. So I'd like to get my patches increased to 175. He's super impressed with the fenestride, my blocker, at the current dosage. He says it's in danger of actually working a little too well. My testosterone levels are in danger of dropping below that of a female my age. So obviously it's nice to hear in one way, but obviously it's something that's going to need to be kept an eye on. You do need a little bit of testosterone, no matter how much us trans women hate it. You do need a little bit of it, and obviously biological / your average woman already has it anyway. They have it in the similar doses that you will once your blood work's being controlled. So he's really happy with how my blocker's performing. There's going to be no changes there. He was really nice, and it was a great conversation. It was supposed to be like an hour, and it was 2 hours, and I didn't feel pressured or rushed or anything. It was pretty good. I got a lot of answers, or I felt I did. There's so much we discussed that actually I came out of there, and even now, a month on, my mind is still awash. I still don't really... There was a lot of information and things to take in, and a lot of thoughts to process, and I still haven't really dealt with it all yet. So I'm still trying to get a handle on exactly what's transpired, and this is why I was really hoping to get it all in writing back off of him sooner than I have. hopefully now I've said this, it'll arrive tomorrow probably. The only thing that was kind of negative about it was he kept saying that I should get myself on the list for SRS or GRS or whatever acronym you want to use for it, which is gender reassignment surgery, or the old terminology SRS, sexual reassignment surgery, because basically, which we'll touch on again later, I've been out publicly for 2 years now, therefore I've been living and working in my role full time for 2 years, and I'm eligible for it if I want it. I've already had a great deal of development on hormones, blah blah blah, yakety smackety. So basically, he says I'm a great candidate for it. I should get myself on the list now based on waiting times. I'd be looking at about 18 months. I'm not ready for that yet. I mean, I've never hidden the fact that my social dysphoria is, I still have physical dysphoria obviously, but my social dysphoria is the main driving force that I go through. I'm far more worried about facial hair. I'm far more worried about facial feminization surgery and voice therapy and all these things that are going to help me to present the way I want socially so that I can get on with my life. SRS, eventually one day, whatever, it's all well and good, but 90% of the time it's not an issue for me personally. Whereas, it's completely inverted the other way at the time. Socially, 9 out of 10 people are still misgendering me, which causes me a great deal of discomfort and upset. So I really just want to get a handle on that side of my life first. But he's saying that, well, get yourself on the list. 18 months from now, you'll have achieved a lot more, probably, socially, and therefore you'll be ready for the surgery, and you can always delay it if necessary. And he said, which, yeah, probably, but then you're just creating a backlog in the list. Then you're stopping somebody who is ready now and is desperate for it now by taking up a slot 18 months from now that they could have had. So I'm not particularly keen. I know, yeah, it makes sense for me personally to be greedy like that and have my slot and just keep moving it whenever I feel like, until I'm ready, but that is preventing other trans women who suffer with physical dysphoria, and possibly trans men, because obviously it's the people that specialise in gender-based surgeries are obviously, there's a lot of crossover there. So the day when they're supposed to be doing me, they could be doing somebody else, and I don't want to keep delaying it and causing shuffles and everything. So I'm not throwing myself on the list just yet. Also in February I did quite a few bits and bobs around socially as well. It was LGBT history during February, and I went to an event slash meetup locally in Folkestone, and I just wanted to learn a bit more. I mean, obviously I've been only out publicly 2 years and transitioning medically 3 years, so it makes me relatively a newcomer to the LGBT community, or newcomer in the sense that I actually identify and actively, literally have that flag sort of thing, and bother to follow it all in detail. I wanted to learn a bit more about, origins and where the movement started, and Stonewall, and also specifically stuff for the UK as well. I learned quite a bit there. They had a couple of older folks who'd obviously been through the 1988 Article 28 or Section 28 Act, which was basically made it illegal, although they'd legalised homosexuality and LGBT behaviour, or decriminalised it I should say, didn't legalise it, didn't encourage it, but they decriminalised it in 1967. in 1988, probably as part of, you know, the fear around AIDS and everything else that was ripping through the LGBT community, mostly there was a lot of fear, and part of that fear just led to the Article 28, or Section 28 I should say, where basically they made it illegal for anyone to promote homosexuality in any way, or transgender, or anything in any way, shape or form. And the trouble is, it was so nebulous and far-reaching, and to be honest, legislators still try and do it now, where they just make these wide-sweeping rules that are not very well thought out. And it was a bit like that, where they just decided it was illegal to promote any of this stuff, and obviously that I mean, that's so nebulous. It covers so many things, and that covered, you know, sex education in schools. That covered like pamphlets, any form, anything that, any media-based information back then that you could use to educate or be considered to be promoting the LGBT community / agenda, or whatever as they call it now, was illegal, which just meant it made it very difficult for anyone to discuss anything, or to get help with anything, or even like awareness around AIDS campaign. As part of it anyway, I got a little souvenir from the thing. Obviously we were encouraged to you know, donate towards the event, and I bought myself a poster from back then that was used. It was only a couple of quid, and basically these were the posters they used at the time, which was just trying to raise awareness of the fact that, you know, we're all just people. It's the same, nothing's changed since then to now. You know, we're all just people. We've all got things that we're trying to do, and that we're all somebody's, you know, friend, daughter, you know, mother, relative, co-worker, you know, whatever. We're all just people. We're all just trying to live and get on with life. And if we want to go and see, if we want to be able to meet up as a group somewhere, and to be able to put up a sign, you know, that says come and meet here at this LGBT event, that shouldn't be illegal. To be able to say, like, oh, come to this LGBT event so that you can meet, you know, people who are like you. It shouldn't be illegal to be able to have sex education that promotes safe sex when you've got an AIDS epidemic ripping through a community that is, you know, more susceptible to it back then than others. And it was just, so there was a lot of pushback, and it did take a lot of fighting, and we owe so much to the people back then. You know, this is pre social media. You couldn't just get on Facebook and moan about things and get a movement and a petition going. Back then it took organisation, and even more so when it's illegal to promote any such groups. You know, it took time and organisation to try and get everyone together and show people that we're just like them, and that they should be like trying to vote this down and not allow it to happen and continue, because it's just ridiculous, and that people shouldn't have to live you know, effectively so far off the radar that you don't even know they exist, and they can't even educate or you know, meet up. From the LGBT history group, there was a trans woman there, and she was having a meeting / get together the next day. She invited me to that. I also knew another trans woman that was going from one of the places that I work. I passed her across before, and actually she means quite a lot to me in some respects. The place where I work, I was able to use a model similar to what she did to come out, and being able to have her to ask about that and how the organisation reacted and things like that was immensely helpful. She also helped me get a letter of support from the place where I work's board, basically, or from their diversity board, which I've shown you in my coming out video and all the rest of it. and preparing to come out at work video, and I wouldn't have been able to do those things, or I wouldn't have thought to have done those things if it wasn't for her. So it was really nice to catch up and speak to her again and get her number and things, and it's really nice to be able to touch base with somebody that's affected your life in some way like that. So that was really good. Also on the social front, I have come down now and sort of come down in favour of the transgender support group that I've been attending over at Canterbury. I was originally quite dubious about it, and I said in earlier videos, I don't know where this is going, if it's going to be helpful. For now it's enough just to be in the same place as some other people that like yourself and just be able to moan about things. But whether or not that you're going to get anything from that, or whether or not there's any legs to that, I don't know, but I've actually decided now I think it is pretty good. A couple of trans girls have returned from having some surgeries themselves, and another one, as we speak, has just gone to a conference to see about facial feminisation surgery yesterday. So the next time the group is on, I'll be picking her brains about that. There is information and support at every level, whether you're just coming out to the gender clinic, not come out to the gender clinic, just about to start hormones, not looking to start hormones, you want to know about anything, basically there is somebody there in this group, at least for all levels, right up to the lady who runs the group, who's you know, effectively, I assume, done now. She's successfully transitioned, as it were, and it's nice to see somebody at that end stage who's still sticking their neck out and running a group and supporting people who haven't gotten there yet. And by end stage I just mean as far as wherever you want to go. You don't have to go for SRS and GRS and facial feminisation and surgery, but it's nice to see somebody that has done everything they've wanted to do. They've successfully transitioned, that's what I mean by that, because they've done everything they wanted to do and they're still hanging around, you know, trying to provide information and support to others, which is lovely, and something I will look to emulate when I've gotten to where I want to get to. I think it's incredibly important to support other people in the community when they don't know what's going on and how to get resources and things, and it's so difficult when you're not quite sure. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next update. Bye bye.